What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical average American here today to react and learn about what is life really like in Norway. Today, I want to take a look at this Reddit discussion, which is completely written in Norwegian. So I have absolutely no idea what any of this says. But through the magic of the internet, I can translate this to English. So, okay, perfect. Now I can understand what is life really like in Norway. And a whole bunch of Norwegians actually responded to this question. And I am really curious to take a look at some of the top answers. What do Norwegians have to say is some of the best parts of living in Norway, or some of the normal everyday things that you experience in Norway? So let's take a look. Starting with, there's a good balance between work and leisure. Few take their careers so seriously that they don't make sure they have something else to do in the evening. This is often concerns mountain tours. Wow, that's so fascinating how this is one of the first answers. This is one of the top answers, and it has to do with work-life balance, which I think is much more healthy, much more important in Norway compared to America. Few of us take our careers so serious that they don't have something else to do in the evening. I think Americans could really learn a lot from this. I think a lot of Americans we have an attitude, and it has to do with living in American culture, that you have to grind, you have to work your butt off to make it, to get to the top, to succeed. And you have to sacrifice. That if you want to get ahead in America, you got to sacrifice and work hard. And that is true to some extent, and I think that's a good thing. But you also have to make it healthy. You have to balance it. So I think that's something Norwegians really understand well, by the sound of it. And I really like that. The rental market is completely deregulated and completely crazy. The rental market in Norway is crazy? What does that mean exactly? The finances, the high housing prices, as many people rent out their basement. People are renting their basement, like in their house, for strangers to like live in? Why? Like to make some extra money? Oh my god. People in Norway are renting their basement out so that someone can live there and pay rent? I have never heard of such a thing. That is fascinating. I think that works a little better in Norway, actually. I could never I could never imagine that here in America. But in Norway, people are a lot more trusting. People are a lot more trustworthy. So I think Norwegians might be more open to the idea of renting their basement out to a stranger. Not here in America. That would make people very nervous. So, is the rental prices just so high? You can just earn so much money from renting your basement, I guess. 18-year-olds buy apartments themselves in order not to get a black pet and have to rent. I'm not sure what that means. I think some of the translation here to English is a little off, maybe. I'm not sure. So 18-year-olds buy apartments? The rental market is crazy, and there's high housing prices. Okay, interesting. This is like this is parts of Norwegian culture that you don't hear about here in America. Like you never hear about this kind of thing. This is really fascinating to me. They have some strange fondness for jelly. Like Norwegians? Norwegians love jelly. Jelly, okay. All right, cool. And porridge on wheat, flour, and sour cream? What is this? I have never heard of some of these foods before. This is what life is really like in Norway. There's a better work life balance. People rent out their basement. People love jelly and porridge on wheat flour. Is that what Norway is really like? It's not possible to move without flying. If you take the night train north of Trondheim instead of a trip via Gardermoen, they look at you as if you should be forced into prison. I'm a little confused. It's not possible to move without flying? You have to you have to fly to different parts of Norway, or if you take the night train, they look at you like you should be in prison? What does that all mean? I don't understand. Wind power is a big no-no as it exploits the wilderness. I've heard like news articles about this. When I look at the Norwegian news, I see people protesting wind power, and they don't like building wind turbines like in certain parts of Norway on native land, and it exploits the wilderness. Okay, hydropower is the best because the wilderness that lies beneath the reservoirs is already exploited. So there's a lot of hydropower in Norway. Very good. I mean, it's still pretty nice. Okay, this is really, really interesting stuff. I've never heard Norway described in this way from Norwegians. Like, this is really, really detailed stuff. It is quite similar to Sweden. Worse roads, less crime. Interesting. And we don't have banana as a topping on pizza. Oh, banana on pizza? Do they do that in Sweden? Oh, God. Okay. I have lived in several places in the USA and in London, South Africa, and the West Indies. Wow, this person has traveled a lot. And they've been to America, so maybe I can relate a little bit. I've traveled a lot because of work. I finally settled down in Norway with my family. I will never move again. Wow. That's very strong words, isn't it? They're living in Norway and they will never move again. I don't really like to travel more. Norway has a calmness and a security that cannot be found anywhere else, and that you take for granted when you live here. Wow. Yeah, some parts of the United States, like, can get really, really crazy depending on where you live. Certain cities in the United States are just completely, there's a lot of crime, homelessness, all sorts of things. So this is actually really, really important that Norway has a calmness and security that cannot be found elsewhere. Yeah, I don't even think you can really explain it with words very well. Because I know Norway has a lot of things going for it that America does not have. Like, the people in Norway are different, just more respectful and calm. There's less crime, there's more nature. It's just a totally different feeling. So I understand, I think, what this person is trying to say. You take it for granted when you live here. There is a stable network should you fall, like social programs and stuff. If you're having trouble, I am happy to pay my taxes to maintain equality in our society. The USA is an example of what happens if the inequalities become too great. Wow. Wow, so they are directly calling out here, the United States. Yeah, there is a lot of inequality here in the United States, and it's just getting worse, I think. The poorest people here are very, very poor. The richest people are very, very rich, and there's not so much people in the middle. It's good when there's a lot of people in the middle. I think that's like the best case scenario, but it's just starting to become more of a divide between the rich and the poor. That's what it feels like. So yeah, in Norway, like taxes and social programs kind of help keep everyone above a certain threshold of support, I think. Wow, yes, the house prices in Oslo are idiotic. And Norwegians are a bit yuppie in some parts of Oslo. But you find your belonging and your people. The landscape in Norway is fantastic. It gives me peace of mind. Wow, I like this comment. I liked that, even though it was criticizing the United States, even. I think that's okay. Because I think a lot of countries, including the United States, we kind of look up to Norway a bit as a way of life, or at least some of the policies that Norway has. Certainly. So the criticism towards America, that's perfectly fine with me. It's interesting to hear about. What else do we have here? What is life really like in Norway? If you compare Norway and Sweden, there are two things that stand out. Okay. Are Norway and Sweden like compared a lot? I don't know. There's shorter working hours in Norway. The usual is 8 to 16 including lunch, whereas in Sweden it's 8 to 16:40 including lunch. So you work a little less in Norway. People are less German in Norway. What does that mean? Less organized structure, but shorter path to decisions. In my spare time, it's exclusively positive. It's hard understanding what they're meaning. A lot of these people are trying to describe certain like feelings or cultural norms. And it's very interesting, but it's also a little hard to understand sometimes. A bit like living in a GBG. I don't know what a GBG is. Huh. I live in Sweden, but I grew up in Trondheim. Here are some things I have noted about life in Norway that are different. Okay, okay. No hot lunch. No hot lunch. You can't have a hot lunch. It's not allowed. You eat a slice of bread for all meals except dinner. Yeah, a slice of bread? But Norwegians like put something on the bread, like sauce or something out of a tube or cheese or something, right? Man, Norwegians really eat a lot of bread. Oh my god. No hot lunch. It's always bread in Norway. Okay, okay. People generally have more money and more free time. Wow, there is a lot of walking. Man, Norway sounds so nice. Even compared to the other Scandinavian countries, Norway sounds special. A lot of walking, that's very healthy. Everyone wants to live in a house. Perhaps this applies to Sweden as well. Everyone wants a house in Norway. An apartment is not good enough. The house should ideally be bought before children. But someone earlier was talking about how the housing prices in Norway are getting very, very high, and people are even renting out their basement. So I don't know. I don't know. The housing market is completely different. Bostadstreter, shared apartments, hardly exist. Virtually no one lives in a tenement. A more macho atmosphere. Less crime. Not as much consensus culture. That's an interesting statement. Not as much consensus. Like Norwegians don't agree or get along together as much as Swedish people, at least, or not as much consensus culture. What does that mean exactly? I don't know how to explain this, but it's okay to disagree but still have a good time. Oh, is that what we're talking about? In Norway, it's okay to disagree, but everyone still gets along. Yeah, certainly here in the United States, people generally want to be agreeable. Or Americans, we even like kind of do small talk, or we kind of beat around the bush, and we don't say exactly what we think. We don't say exactly what we think or mean because we are scared of insulting each other. We're afraid of not getting along. So I think that's what we're talking about. In Norway, Norwegians are more direct, more straightforward, might disagree or give their opinion more, but Norwegians don't get offended by that. It's just normal. It's just getting things done. Um, which I really, really like. Norwegians seem like they might be a lot more authentic and real as people. I think that's what we're trying to say here. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think Iceland is a lot more like Norway than Sweden. Iceland? Oh my gosh, I don't know anything about Iceland. Okay. The positives are higher wages, shorter working weeks, and experience that Norwegians do not work as hard as the Swedes. There's a lot of Norway Sweden comparison here. Um, More pay, shorter work. Norwegians don't have to work as hard, but are paid more. That's a good thing. With a slower pace and more focus on leisure time, I can also compare this to America as well. Like, it seems like Norwegians are a lot more laid back in regards to work, but that might make Norwegians more productive when you're a little more relaxed and less stressed. That could actually make you more productive in a way. So it's probably a net good thing. Nature is nicer. Norwegians are more social. That's the first time I've ever heard that Norwegians are very social. I've always heard that Norwegians have to drink alcohol to be social. Maybe more social. Maybe Norwegians are more social than Swedes are. Maybe that's what they're saying. The nature is great. The negative of Norway is that Norwegians are incredibly proud and patriotic. Huh. Poor and expensive food selection. And almost everything is closed on Sunday. Really? Man, that is a huge difference. In America, Americans would not know what to do if things were closed on Sunday. I mean, that's one of our weekends. That's like one of the only days we can go to the store or something. Wow, very interesting. Very interesting. I'm Swedish, born and raised in Sweden. I was 18 when I moved to Norway when I was 23. Both countries are similar, they're also very different. When I lived in Norway, I feel much safer for my own safety and safer for my children in Norway. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. The range of Norwegian shops is much smaller. Interesting packed lunch culture. this is so funny. Norway has like this packed lunch culture. With like the bread and like taking your lunch to work. I'm used to the school providing lunch, but here in Norway, you bring your own lunch, usually in the form of sandwiches from kindergarten. Wow, yeah, in school? In school, a lot of Americans buy their lunch at school every day. Norwegians bring your lunch to school starting from kindergarten. Really? I had no idea. Why is that? Just to be healthy or to save money? Wow. Much nicer people in Norway. My neighbors actually say hello. These are, even the Swedish people here are complimenting Norway. Oh my God. Well, this was really, really fun to take a look at. There was a lot of really, really great things said about Norway. That's what I took away from this. A lot of positive things about Norway. What is life really like in Norway? People are nicer. People are direct. People are a little like more relaxed and have a better work-life balance. The nature is beautiful. There's less crime. Life in Norway sounds really great. My God. This was really, really interesting to hear about. Seems like Norwegians are very, very happy with life in Norway. That's super cool. I'm a bit jealous, honestly, and I thought this was really fun to actually hear about from Norwegians. So anyway, if you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment with your thoughts. If you live in Norway, what is life really like in Norway? That'd be fantastic to hear about. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Norway and Norwegian culture and learning things about Norway for the first time, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching and see you next time.